Moral politics. It sounds like an oxymoron, especially when glancing at the hellscape that currently is the American political system. Yet, in an age of Ilhan Omar's, Rashida Tlaib's, Chuck Schumer's, and yes, Donald Trump's, addressing America's crisis on this front has not only become important, but a priority. Hey everyone, I'm Eric Schaefer for MRC-TV. So before you rage click off of this video or start typing that I'm a lib in the comments, hear me out. Now I'm sure there are already people asking, was morality ever really existent among the American political class? And the answer is, perhaps surprisingly, it's actually kind of complicated. No, politicians were never paragons of morality. Ben Franklin, for example, was a serial adulterer, and Jefferson, among others, owned slaves. But this is evident in the very structure of our political system. The founders rightly expected that those of the political cloth would be power-hungry, shrewd, and predisposed to immoral behavior, checking other branches of government in the hopes of expanding one's own political clout. The executive checks the legislature checks the executive, etc., etc., etc. What was present, however, was that the political class realized basic moral sensibilities mattered. That the American people usually had a line one couldn't cross without invoking political suicide. As we as a society have degraded and erased this line, political ethics have rapidly gone by the wayside. And that's not the fault of politicians, the people we expect to be slimy by nature. It's ours. Despite some of their various moral failings, several of the founding fathers recognized that the American political system could only work if the American populace had some devotion to morality, to objective truth. As John Adams famously said, "We have no government armed with power capable of contending with human passions unbridled by morality and religion. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." This by no means suggests we must expect politicians to be morally perfect, nor expel anyone with a moral flaw from office. It also doesn't mean that all politicians must be religious. In a religious society, secularists can still obtain a sense of morality from those that surround them. So, what does it suggest? What exactly needs to happen to get America back on track? Well, we have to redraw the line. A red line that if a politician or candidate crosses, regardless of their positions, policies, and history, will result in excoriation and renunciation. And this is where we as a people must grate our teeth and do what's right. Because when you draw that line, you have to act when it's violated. Otherwise, it means absolutely nothing. And that requires something humans have a natural and visceral aversion to, especially when politics are involved. Sacrifice. We must be willing to not only come to a mutual set of standards on behavior and actions that aren't acceptable for those we elect, we must also be willing to withhold our votes from those who violate them, even if that means losing the election in question. To put it quite simply, when we only look at whether or not someone agrees with us on certain issues and not their moral fiber, we tend to elect not those who respect liberties, but those who wish to violate them, those with authoritarian tendencies, or those who are authoritarians altogether. As Ben Franklin once said, quote, "Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters." Addressing the morality crisis in politics isn't merely about protecting certain people's sensibilities. It isn't about making politics more comfortable or dignified. It's about preserving the republic we have spent centuries cultivating. As Fisher Ames said, and I'm sure I'm butchering that name, quote, "Our liberty depends on our education, our laws and habits. It is founded on morals and religion, whose authority reigns in the heart, and on the influence all these produce on public opinion before that opinion governs rulers." This is an issue long in the making. An issue both sides of the political aisle, left and right, have been all too content to ignore. An issue both sides must finally sit down and address. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. For MRC-TV, I'm Eric Schaefer.